Sorry, guys. All right. So, yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. We're going to try and run this back and actually do it properly this time. I felt super bad. Obviously, last week we were having some problems trying to connect with Don. Still don't know if it was him, if it was me, if it was Stream Yard Labs, whatever the hell this is. But either way, it seems like things are working now. I'm crossing my fingers it continues to, because I would really like to actually, do this one. So yeah, basically, it's Friday night, guys. So you know what time it is. I really need to get Kathleen to fix that, because I get way too into it and then it just cuts off.
Awesome. I love that.
I mean, I love it too. I just hate that it cuts off.
Well, get on it. Get it fixed.
No, she's actually working on it for me. Kathleen's a lovely, lovely person, and that's actually why she's the drink sponsor this week. Guys, if anybody's not following Melusine Exotics, link is scrolling below us. Please go give her a follow. She did the audio for my intro, and she's going to tweak it a little more for me. So, yeah, go give her a follow. But, guys, you know who it is. It's Don. It seems like everything is a lot smoother than it was last week. So whatever the issues seem to be, I think we're past it. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I switched out some hardware. I started running around the house unplugging things to make sure there was nothing that was plugged in that didn't have to be.
And you know what? I went through, because I control all the Wi-Fi right from my phone, and I just basically disconnected everything that wasn't my laptop. And I was, well, sucks to be everybody else. So, yeah, you know what? I'm really hoping this goes ahead. It looks like it's going to be good, so I'm really stoked. And one thing I do want to mention, guys, this didn't mean to do it. I actually wore this to work today, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? This works. I'm just gonna keep it on for the live." And then Don joins in. He's got my shirt on, so that was totally by accident. Totally by accident. Anyway, Don, nice to have you on for a second time.
And you know what? It's got to be 5 minutes already.
Yeah. So that's longer than we went last week without any problems. So, I want to just quickly go over some of the questions we touched on last week, only because after this, I'm going to archive the last week one because I'm, hoping this is a proper live.
Sure.
People don't have to watch bits and pieces from last week and then jump to this one. So I'm just going to jump right into a question you actually already answered last week, but we're going to just, go through it quickly one more time. I know the answer to this, but if you don't mind going through this one more time, what's the origin of your business name?
Sure. So my last name is Poirer. It's French. And if you take Poirer and put it into English, it becomes pear tree. So pear tree, a little easier to say than Poirer, especially being in Southern Ontario, right? Not too much French down this way. So I anglicized it, and I just thought it was a great idea because I took the name and developed the logo and the coloring. Because if you look at all the shirts out there, the logos, they tend to be dark. They talk to be, just the palette is just the opposite of what I did. So, I mean, it just stands out. And that was the goal of the whole thing.
And it really does. Like I was trying to say last week, and unfortunately, our connection issues, people couldn't hear me and then couldn't hear you. But when you're at an expo and you see your booth, like your shirts and stuff, like it pops. It draws the eye, right? Which is an awesome added bonus. But they just look cool. Like they just look really awesome. Not a lot of people. I don't know anybody that had a green shirt before you did. So
no. And you know what? A lot of people in the States that I've given my shirt to or have ordered shirts, they're like, it's all about the color. It stands out. It's bright. It's vibrant. And people see you. And, a couple of people made fun of me at the last expo that I vended because literally my booth, head to toe and everything in between was green.
It was so green.
Including my extension cords.
That was what? That was December 2019? You didn't do the February 2021, did you?
It was the last one we had. Was that? No, I did January.
Oh, was it? It might be January I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That's the one where you were a couple down from Billy, right?
Yeah, it's right beside Billy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, no, you know what? I love it. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I mean, we did the same thing. We went with a dark, our logo over a dark background. It just seemed to be the norm. So, you know what? It definitely works. It stands out. It looks nice. So
I appreciate it.
Why the hell not, man? So we're going to jump right into this. I don't even know if we touched on this one last week or not. I think we might have, but I think that's when you started really cutting out. So
yeah.
How and when did you get into the hobby? And not just ball pythons, if there's any other part of reptiles before that.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest, I'm turning 54 this year. I had absolutely no interest at all in reptiles. Not at all. I met my current wife, and she had a couple kids. One of them was very interested in reptiles, and he got a crested gecko for Christmas. So I saw how interested he was in it, and I thought that would be a great way to connect. So I started talking about crested geckos and that. We went to a couple shows, and then gargoyle geckos caught my eye. I'm like, oh, those are cool. And then I started getting into those, and I started breeding gargoyle geckos. And then I found chihuahuas or chewies, and I just love them. They are like touching velvet. The prehensile tail is so cool. So I got into breeding those, and I gave my stepson the gargoyles and the cresties that I had. There's a guy at Gecko Hill, Brian.
Yep.
I'm sure you know him.
Yep.
He does ball pythons and he does geckos and
I love Brian. He needs to get himself out there more, man. Brian's an awesome dude.
You know what? I've tried forever to get him on Facebook or Instagram, and he's just like, no, I'm too old for that. I'm like, dude, look at me compared to you. So
and yeah, he's such a social guy too. Like he's so talkative and he's just so friendly. Like he would be perfect at stuff like this, and he's just like, don't have the energy.
Nope, not at all. So I go every time there's an expo, I go to his booth and I sit and chat or stand and chat with him for a little bit. And I was looking at his chewies, and he had some ball pythons out because he does just about everything.
Mhm.
And a lady asked if she could see a chewy, and he turned to me and he put 2 ball pythons in my hand. Now, terrified of snakes when I started, absolutely terrified. So I just kind of froze and kind of looked down at my hand and going, okay, I'm not dead yet. Um, this isn't so bad. So then he was still dealing with the customer, and 2 minutes turned into 5 minutes, turned into 10 minutes.
Mhm.
And then I just totally got intrigued by it. And I left that show and I thought about it. And I started watching YouTube videos. And of course, what's the gateway to ball pythons is Brian Barczyk, right?
For most people, yeah.
Right. So I was getting into that, and he was pretty heavy and more into ball pythons at the time. And I saw him at the next show. It was Christmas.
Mhm.
And I went over and I talked to him, and he had me sold. So the rule in the house was no snakes ever. So middle of the expo, I pick up my phone and I call Darcy, and I'm like, how mad would you be if I came home with a snake? And she said, if you come home with a snake, Kyle's going to have to come home with a snake. I said, deal. I'll even pay for it. I hung up. I went over, bought my first snake, and then I went over and talked to Brian Barczyk about it. And I ended up being on his vlog that day, which was pretty cool.
Was that the year that he actually vended here, or was that the year after?
No, it was the year of the big snowstorm. So
right. Okay, that was the year after. So that was the year they really tightened up on the import-export stuff, and you couldn't just drive it up. Because he was here a couple years in a row, and he was bringing not balls, but like corns and stuff like that. He would come up and sell that kind of stuff. But anyway, sorry. Continue.
That's okay. So I mean that was just the gateway in. And I was fortunate because usually everybody who buys a ball python starts with a male.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a Tofino female.
Had no female to grab too for your first one. That's awesome.
So she was going to be my pet. She was never ever going to be bred. And I brought her home, and Darcy's like, you can breed them. I got the best wife ever. So 1 turned into 5, turned into 20, turned into, I don't know, 100, 120, whatever number I have. I don't even count anymore because I don't want to know.
I'm in the same boat, man. Like I have a rough guesstimate of where I'm at now, but after all my eggs hatch and stuff, I'm going to be like, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I'm good.
I can tell you my rat bill is higher than my mortgage.
I pay more for my rat bill than I pay for rent. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yep. It's easily done.
It's pretty insane. When my rat bill first started getting up there, I was like, what did I order this week that I shouldn't have ordered? Like, what is happening? I read it and I was like, oh, I'm just that big now. God damn. Like, yeah. Oh no, this is a normal thing.
So I've split my rat order into Thursdays and Sundays just so I don't have sticker shock.
Luckily, Nick and I both feed ours separately. So I don't see his bill and he doesn't see my bill, but like even my half, and when I say half, I probably have like 2/3 of the collection. Even my 2/3 is a significant amount of money. Like it is not cheap. And
no.
That's right now. I only have 1 clutch out. There's another 8 incubating. We're still waiting on more. Like,
oh, hatchling season gets ridiculous. Last year, I even Peter Williams is my rat guy. Super nice guy.
Oh yeah, Peter's the best.
I would top load my invoices so I would build a credit just so I would be ready for hatchling season.
What? So you'd pay him extra?
Yep. Here's an extra 50. Here's an extra whatever.
That's funny.
So, I mean, it worked out well. I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do this season because I'm expecting twice as many clutches. So,
our man Elliot wants to know if you had that beard when you started breeding.
No.
I knew the answer to that. I wanted to answer.
This has been for almost 5 years now that I've had this.
Yeah, I don't think you've not had a beard since I've known you, but I think in that Brian Barczyk vlog, you didn't have a beard or
Oh,
something,
no.
right? No, I didn't think so because I'm pretty sure I had to go back when you first either told me about it or when I first heard about it. I think I had to go back and find that. So I was like, oh, that doesn't look like Don at all.
I had more hair too, believe it or not.
Alrighty, so let's jump into something a little different, a little more concentrated on the balls.
Sure.
What are you working on? What projects do you work with? What genes? What are you focusing on?
I've got a lot of recessive projects, probably too many.
Me too.
But there's just something about them, like Ultramel. I wanted forever, and you know what? Female Ultramels were so rare, so I got myself a hat, got myself a male Ultramel, grew them up, finally hatched my own female Ultramels.
That's awesome.
So stoked with that. I'm working with Pied. I'm working with Clown. I am working with Orange Ghost, Puzzle, Enhancer.
Do you have any Xanthic?
Yeah. So
I love that answer when people are like, well, I mean, I do, but...
Well, I'll tell you why. I was tricked into getting it. So my wife is
so
super supportive of me. And every once in a while, she'll go, oh, that's pretty. You need to get it. So I got into some leopard stuff because of her. And ever since I did that, she's like, see, I told you. See, I told you. So she saw Xanthic and she's like, you need to do this with it and you need to do that with it. I'm like, no, I don't need another recessive project. And she's like, oh, no, you need to get it. And I'm like, fine, I will get one. You will take care of it. You will feed it. And I will breed it. Guess what's not happening?
Isn't that how it always goes, though?
Yeah.
We got sorry, I kind of happened into the same circumstance, not because of a wife, though. Will sold us spot nose yellow belly clown male early last year. And as he hands over the animal to me, he goes, oh, by the way, it's 50% het VPI, too. And Nick and I went, why'd you have to say that?
Yep.
That same show, we walked over to Sarah Miller. Yes. Yep. Sarah Miller, and she had a big breeder VPI Xanthic sitting on the table. So now we have a VPI clown project. So that was just totally like, didn't expect it, didn't want it, but all of a sudden we're doing it.
So you know what? Talking about Will's got me figured out. He knows all he has to do is send something pretty to Darcy, and I will have to buy it.
Oh, that's mean.
Totally, but she's got a good eye.
Well, and to be fair, though, if Will's sending you anything, it's probably worth it. So you could have worse people trying to convince your wife to get you to buy stuff.
Yeah.
So
solid for sure.
If people don't know, we picked up. I'm not even going to show her because I don't like showing snakes on this.
I was just going to show you my girl.
Oh, no. I just once I get started, show off whatever you want. It's just I don't. Once I get started, I get so like into it. I turn into like show off my snake show. That's not what it's here for.
So I don't know how well the camera is going to pick this
up.
up.
Man, you can tell what it is right away. Still though.
So there it is.
It's such a. I can't believe you hit that. And she's 50% het pied?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Do you want to tell everybody what you're holding?
So this is a pastel Hypo clown, 50% het pied female. So.
Oh, man. It's so cool. Like
she glows. She's so bright. And it's really crazy. When I saw this, it took me 20 eggs to hit this. So
that's still that animal is worth 20 eggs though.
Oh,
let me say, like that's amazing. And the fact that you hit a female too, like, oh man. Are you redoing the pairing this year or did you end up moving the females?
I sold one of the females. I still have one. She pushed out a lot of spider this year. and and just with all the negativity out there around spider, it's hard to sell them. I love it. I it does amazing things.
Mhm.
But then I tend to sit on those animals for longer than I really want to.
I don't understand why that is. Everybody says that, but every time I have spider animals, I can't hold on to them long enough. Like, I didn't even hesitate to grab that girl from you.
No, I know.
I love spider stuff. I'll never stop loving spider stuff.
So this is a sibling to ours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got some really weird markings, and as far as the patterning on it,
That's supposed to just be a pastel clown.
this is a pastel clown, 50% het pied, female again, but she's so dark on the top, but it's almost like she's got a gradient on the side.
Yeah, it's almost like you have yellow belly or something at play.
Yeah, it's very pixelated too. So I was going to put her up for sale, but now I'm tempted just to see.
I mean, if you do put her up for sale, you know who to bother.
Yeah, I think you'd pick that up in a hurry.
I wouldn't let you list it. I definitely would not. I have a Hypo clown pie project, and I don't have a single animal that's like everything for sure. Everything's either like double het, 50% het, or visual plus double het. So I need as many as I can get to kind of hedge my bets here.
So, like I said, 20 eggs. Now, the pairing was a pastel spider blade, 100% double het Hypo clown. The male was a triple het.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, just the odds that I got that girl out of that, amazing.
So you got, how many clowns did you hatch out of that? Like out of everything? Because you've got quite a few clowns, didn't you?
I've got.
Because you did pretty well in the clown odds, I believe.
Yeah, I have four clowns. Chris Lennox has one.
He bought a clown from you too. That guy's bought all my clowns last year.
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably say out of 20 eggs, I probably hit 7 clowns.
That's awesome. So you hit 7 clowns, 1 hypo clown, and then you hit your weirdo that you're thinking of keeping there.
Yep.
Plus my girl, like.
Yep.
Yeah, you definitely got some cool stuff out of that.
Yeah. She went late last year, so I'm still debating whether or not to put her up or put her up for sale.
I mean, that's totally fair.
It's totally a space thing for me. I'm like in a small room and I'm floor to ceiling. And unless I get some ARS racks in that room, I'm done.
See, I was stuck. Like, what you see is what I have, right? So I was like, shit, I'm done. Like, I can't go any further. I might have room for like another 1039 over on the far side that isn't on camera. But even then, it would like kind of cut into my incubator space, and it would make everything really awkward. So I was really bummed. But then Nick and I were talking, and we realized that we could convert one of the bedrooms at his house into our full snake room. And it was one of those things where we both realized it at the same moment. And it's been 3 years and it's never occurred to either of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those like stupid smart moments where you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like,
but would you be willing to give up those snakes in that room behind you?
Kind of, because it means that we can get way more. So the way I'm looking at it is I move everything over there, and then basically I just start building my stuff up again. His place can handle both of our collection, like this new room that we kind of realized we could utilize, because basically what's happening is the way Nick's rental house is set up, he has a bedroom that's his bedroom, but he's basically taken over one of the main living rooms in the basement, and he does have some people that share the house with him, but he has like a main living room in the basement. Basically, that's his room, right? Like that's where all of his shit is. That's where he sleeps. So we realized we could trade his actual bedroom for what the snake room is now, which is like a tiny little offshoot bedroom, and it would give us 4 times the space. Like it's a significant improvement. It's probably about 2/3 the size of Billy's old place.
That's huge.
It's good size, yeah. So when he said, like, when we realized that, I was kind of like, man, you know what? Like, this is what I do. Like, I wake up in the morning and come in here. I get home from work and I come in here. You know what I mean? But to let us grow, that's the move, I think, because that's my free space. Like that's my free space. I have 7 10 series bins.
I have enough room to walk in, and I'm shoulder to shoulder with my racks all the way down to the end of the room.
I have 31 hatchling spots. That's only because obviously the babies haven't started coming yet. 7 10 series bins, no 50 series, and 3 70 series that are empty. That's it. And I'm out of room here. So as much as it sucks, it is what it is. And Nick's not far from me. Nick's only like 10 minutes away. Yeah. And basically I have a key to his place anyway. So,
well, you know, the other option is you could just start filling Nick's place and keep everything where you are.
That's true, but that would also require a lot of extra money to buy more racks for his place and stuff like that. Which, I mean, if our year goes the way we're kind of hoping, might not be a problem. Mm-hmm. Like we just hit a 12 egg clutch from our big pied to a Leo DG het pied. Nice. You know what I didn't know until the eggs were on the ground? Pied het DG males are going for $2,000 US. I had no idea. I just assumed they'd be like $600-800.
No, DG is one gene that is getting a very good reputation out there, and Will has been just laying it on the line for how many years, saying you got to do this.
Well, it was actually funny when me and Will started actually talking. He'd always make fun of me and like make jokes about Enhancer, and I'd have to be like, "Well, I don't like Enhancer. Just because I work for Billy doesn't mean like I'm a DG guy." Mm-hmm. I agree that they're separate and there's something going on, but I'm a DG guy. Like if you put a DG next to an Enhancer, I'll take the DG. So it was just really funny because he'd be like, "Oh yeah, but Enhancer, ha ha ha," and I'd be like, "I agree with you, man, like 100%." So this year, unfortunately, I think we only have one shot at visual DGs, but we have a lot of stuff for the DG Pied project coming. We have the Pied het DGs I just told you about. Then there's a shot of leopard in there too. And then we have 9 eggs, which I think is 8 eggs now, from an ivory to that same male. So hopefully some leopard ivory het DG, 50% het pieds. A couple females like that I'm not going to complain about, right?
Nah, you'll be set.
Yeah. And then, hopefully make some stuff that we can move around. I get to cut a clutch in 2 days. We're on day 50 right now. We're going to cut it on 52 because of how they look. Mm-hmm. HRA OD het pied was the mom to the banana ODYB Enchi pied.
Whoa.
Only 3 eggs, so I'm crossing my fingers and my toes for that one. But yeah, we already broke our pied curse.
Yeah, I saw that.
First clutch of the year, so I'm really hoping it comes back in spades now. Because, man, for 3 years, just miss. It was so bad. But now it's really funny because we went from that to our first clutch had chances at visual pied. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of the 8 clutches we have in the incubator and the one that's out, 6 of them can give us pieds. So apparently it's going to be a pied year.
Well, that's not to complain about it. That's almost like printing money, right?
Yeah, well, and we have one clutch that's guaranteed pied. Our friend Jay, Pretty Balls, lent us a pastel het ready xanthic pied that we put to the same banana ODYB Enchi pied.
Right.
So we had 8 eggs. 2 have gone bad, so we still have 6. That's due in about 2 weeks. Then we have Cine Pie do Enchi Asphalt Het. If I can hit an Enchi Asphalt pied male, man, I'll be laughing. I'll be stoked. But then we also had to do an all clown clutch because I love my clown. So I did the spot nose yellow belly clown to a blade clown.
Huh. That's still solid. Solid pairing.
I'm not going to complain if I hit a couple of spot nose clown females because they're not going anywhere. Okay, so we're gonna skip over to another question.
Sure.
We've been going here for about half hour. Everything's been looking great.
Yeah, thank God.
I'm very happy. So what's the main reason you do this? I know you talked about why you got into this, but is it, and there's no judgment, but is it monetary? Is it just, for something to do?
Whenever I bred geckos, or I wanted a hobby that could pay for itself, and something that I could have fun with, something that I could be a little creative in some of the pairings and the combinations. When you can create an animal like my hypopide girl, that just makes everything worth it. I've got some amazing orange dream stuff that the color is so, I don't know if it's high intensity, but it's orange. And as it's aging, it is still solid orange.
That's awesome.
So that, to me, what it's about. I've been stuck working at home for the last, 16 months, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I get up in the morning, I check all my animals. Lunchtime, I go through again, I check all my animals. And before I go to bed, I check them again. It's just something, it's almost like a calming effect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say meditating, but it's just very calming to
It's
go
almost
in.
like therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the exact same for me. I come in, like, when I'm stressed, or like I come in here and I check on my animals and open a couple bins, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling okay. Like,
yeah, you talk to them. Yeah.
It's actually really funny, though. One thing I never really realized, and it's only now because we have quite a few of our own animals that we've produced growing up in our racks. But I think one of the most rewarding things about this hobby, and you know what, getting eggs, hatching the animals, like seeing all the cool combos that come out, that's awesome. Like, that'll never get old. But opening a bin from a female that you hatched 6 months ago and seeing her sitting at like 400 grams and like watching her color change and just, you know what I mean? Like, or his, or whatever the animal is, seeing that animal grow up is just so cool. I moved a couple of our early 2020s into the 50 month and a half, 2 months ago. And like, being able to take that animal and move it into its adult bin in under a year, and just like being able to witness that, and like, it's so rewarding and it's so cool. It's such a neat feeling.
Now, my first year, I basically sold everything that I hatched because I just wanted to keep moving forward.
Same, but not because I just wanted to keep moving forward.
Right. All males, right?
Yep, except for one, and she's breeding right now.
Yeah.
But.
So my second year and my third year girls are just starting to grow. They're starting to get up to size. They're getting they're getting into rotation. And now the things that I were thinking about 2, 3, 4 years ago, I can now start to put these animals together to see what that outcome actually is, and if it's something new, if it's something different. And that creative part is just amazing to be a part of. It just takes so damn long.
Have you had an animal you produce for you yet?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
We haven't. Last year the girl didn't go, so she's breeding again this year. And then if she doesn't go next year, we have a bunch. So next year's going to be the year, but we just keep getting unlucky.
You can't win every year.
That's part of the hobby, though, right? Like,
yep.
Oh, I really hope she gets like 25 millimeters, and you're like, yeah, and then all of a sudden nothing. And then she goes back on food.
Yeah, I had a banana inchy that I picked up. And I want more inchy. I just don't have enough of it. I just haven't seen the right combination. But this banana inchy, I paired her to a hypopide male, and she was building, and she was building, and she was like eating like no tomorrow. And then she just stopped eating. I'm like, little early, but fingers crossed. She didn't go. She didn't go at all. She reabsorbed everything. So I kept feeding her, got her back up to size, got her nice and healthy again. Every male I tried, nothing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But I mean, they're animals, right? It is what it is.
I have a banana blade clown that we bought from Billy. One of our first like big purchases, right? Like
Mhm.
paid a good chunk for it. Got her up to size. She looks amazing too. Like she's the nicest banana clown adult I've ever seen. Bright or fuck it, I'm just gonna show her off. Bright orange on the dorsal still, but like, oh come on. Sorry guys, just dumped a bunch of her cocoa in her water. Like, just super bright on the dorsal still.
Oh yeah.
Just super nice. And her problem is she'll get nice and chunky, looking like she's ready to pair. And as soon as I put a male in, she goes off food. Then doesn't go on to build any further and stays off food for about 8 months. And then I have to get her back on food, get her back up to weight, and she repeats every time. So I'm hoping one of these times she takes, but like just the amount of orange on her, like I don't know if there's something else going on.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's so nice, and she's like $13.50, I think. Like I could be pairing her, but I just for what she is, I don't want to risk it. Like I want to keep her nice and healthy for the stranger. To be completely honest with you, I think a banana stranger clown would look amazing, but if she doesn't fucking build, it doesn't help. So, alrighty. How many clutches do you expect in this year between what you've got already and what you have coming?
I don't know. I don't really plan anything. I let the animals do what the animals do. My 2020 season, I just pulled the last clutch out of the incubator, and we're in June, so they've just hatched. So my season stretched really late last year. So I've got probably 7-8 clutches right now that are building, but these are the new girls that are coming on for this year. So if that's comparable, I would probably 15, maybe 20. And that's just of animals. And it's not necessarily to make animals to sell. It's some of the pairings are just to create animals that I need to move forward.
You know what? I think you might, like, if you end up with as many clutches as you're hoping, I think you're going to outdo us this year because I was kind of doing, like, I expected about 25. We have, I want to say, 55 to 60 breeder females right now, right? So I was expecting, like, 25 clutches. Some of those females we just moved up, so I don't expect to start building for a bit. And we're at 8 right now. I'm waiting for one more, and then 2 more might ovulate. And unless something surprises me when I ultrasound tomorrow, I'm pretty much SOL until 2 to 3 months from now. And if those girls start building then, they're going to be running into my 2022 season anyway.
Right. And that's where that's where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
Because the girls that went late, I'm just starting to pair now where everybody else is finishing their 2021 season already. And I really haven't started with my bigger girls yet.
Yeah. And you know what?
So,
I do have a couple females that laid really late that, might drop late 2021 for me. Who knows? Fingers crossed.
Yeah. You know what? I don't do any cooling. I don't do anything like that. If the animals go the same time of year every year, it'll work out better for me because then I should be able to have clutches almost throughout the whole year.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? It sucked because I was in a position where I should have had a clutch all year round since my first girl laid last year. But my girl that laid for me literally on New Year's Eve slugged out except for one egg. The egg died.
Oh, no.
And had that egg survived, I would have had nonstop clutches for over a year. And maybe this year it'll happen. But yeah, no, that was a bummer. Banana Odie's spider het clown female too. Like, that hurts. Yeah,
that hurts.
To be fair though, she never locked up with a male, so I think it was a partho clutch that just wasn't meant to be. So that's all right. Skipping over.
Oh.
What are your goals in the next 3 to 5 years? And when I ask this, I want you and everybody else to be aware, like, our goals even for this year can change very easily. A single animal can change a big project, right? But
it could take it in a totally different direction.
Based on where you're at now, though, where would you like to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
The projects that I have are paying for themselves now. I'd like to do some upgrading equipment. I'd like to get some real racks in that room. But it's just, if I can do 20 clutches a year and vend some expos and meet some people that way, that's really what I want to do. I don't want to have 100 clutches because it's just me. As supportive as my wife is, it's just me. And, the 100 or so animals that I have take a lot of time. And I'm not going to have a staff. I don't want to pay a staff. I don't want this hobby to ever be overwhelming to me where I just wake up one day and say, I'm done. Get rid of the animals. It's got to stay fun for me.
And that's totally fair. I've told a lot of people because people that aren't in this are like, oh, well, are you making money yet? This, that, And I'm like, you know what? In the next 2-3 years, as long as everything's paying for itself, I'll be happy. I don't care if I ever make $1. As long as my rats are paid for, as long as I can throw a little extra money on the hydro bill, as long as I can pay for my bedding, honestly, I'll be happy because I don't do this. I don't want to say don't do it for money. Obviously, if you get an extra couple $100 in your pocket, everybody's thrilled.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not the reason I do it. It's just an added bonus.
Right.
Right. So as long as I can break even, that's my goal.
Yeah.
2 years, 5 years, however long.
And I tell you, when Darcy said to start breeding them, I never thought that I would have an Instagram. I never thought I'd have the Facebook. I never thought I'd have a logo. This was meant to just have fun, but part of the hobby is growing into the logo, into the branding, into a face like with a beard so people can recognize you. Right? And it's more it's always about the animals, but it's where those animals can take you. Like you look at the people that you meet, like Jean-Francois in Belgium. I never would have had the opportunity to meet him. Tinley was a fantastic experience. Like Earl from Lone Star, like just the fact to talk to him for hours on end was it's just, to me, it's where these animals can take you.
And you know what? That's exactly right. I like it, as much as it's about the animals, and it'll never not be about the animals. The relationships very quickly become a very important part as well, right? Like, I have so many friends that I talk to now that I would have never, ever met if it wasn't for this. Corey Martin, I probably talk to her. If it's not every day, it's got to be 5 out of 7 days of the week. Like, mostly about snakes, but like I talk to her more than I talk to some of my best friends. And not saying she's not one of my best friends. She probably is at this point. But some of my like real life best friends that I've known since kindergarten. And that's all thanks to this hobby. And there's other people that I talk to all the time. Jason from Morph Mixology. He's in the chat right now. I would have never met Jason.
Yep.
Like it's phenomenal. And yeah, as much as like the YouTube and the Instagram, it wasn't our initial goal in this. Because honestly, when I started this, even for a couple of years after, and feel free to ask Tom and Casey at Atypical, I had no interest in coming on a fucking camera, ever. Just no fucking interest. Camera shy as hell. I was like, nope, that's for other people. They can keep it. No, thank you. And they just bugged me until I came on. And, here we are. And this alone has helped me a lot. Like, Nicole Lyons and I, we never really spoke all that much until I asked her to be on my show. And after I did, her and I talk all the time now, almost daily. Like, Nicole's a wonderful person. So,
but if it wasn't for the animals, do you think you would ever talk to these people?
No, that's what I mean. Like,
right.
If it wasn't for this wouldn't happen, right?
Right.
And I wouldn't have all these other people in my life. And it genuinely, even if you take the animals out of the equation now, those people are a big part of my life now.
Right.
And it's huge. Like it kind of just all falls back together in a circle. Like I've met so many friends from this, and a lot of people that I've sold a single animal to and just become friends with and never talk snakes again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's not even about the ball pythons at that point. They just have a pet, and now we're just friends for other reasons. Like it's awesome.
It's just the common denominator, right? And it's more about the friendships and the people. And you know, if you make this hobby about the money, you won't do well.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is all about relationships. Absolutely, 100%.
Yep. And a lot of people think that relationships just mean customer service, but that's not the truth. Like, you've never bought an animal from me, and I'd never bought an animal from you before a couple of months ago.
Right.
But we still knew each other. We still talked all the time. Like,
yep.
Just knowing, like, relationships in this hobby doesn't just necessarily mean, you know, talking to the people that want to buy your shit. Like, you meet a lot of people. I've met a ton of people in this hobby that'll probably never want to buy anything I make.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I don't need anybody to buy anything from me. I'm very appreciative of what I've gotten out of this hobby, even though it's not what I set out to get out of it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been awesome. Like I've been. Go ahead.
I tell you, when I vended, I had so much fun vending, meeting all those people, talking to all those people. But you know what? I missed not being able to go around to talk to the others. I miss not going to talk to everybody that you go to an expo to talk about because I was stuck behind a table.
Mm-hmm.
Great time, but
it's really funny because late 2019, very beginning of 2020, we should have had enough animals to do be able to vend, and it was mostly just to vend to be there. And Nick and I actually made an effort not to and sell the stuff beforehand, only because we've been roped into being behind Billy's table so much and losing that that chance to walk around. Like, the best part of going to an expo is walking around and finding all the people you know and being like, oh shit, what'd you get? Look at what I got. Like, do you see what that guy has over there? Like, it's such a cool experience. It's so fun.
And it's not even about the animals at that point.
No, right? you're just going to hang out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm praying the borders open for Tinley this year. Like, I don't know if I'll actually go, but I want at least the option to go.
I've come so close to buying tickets and booking a room.
I'm hoping. Based on how everything's looking now, I'm hoping. Also, that announcement from Grant recently made me very, very hopeful too.
Yeah, kind of cryptic though, right?
I understand that though, because it's in their position. It's very hard to promise anything, right? But the fact that they're even working on it makes me happy.
Right. Oh, absolutely. But I don't know what the Eastern Expo is. I've never heard of that before.
What do you mean?
I think in his post he said something about the Eastern Expo.
Well, apparently they're also looking into other potential areas that they can venture into. I think, especially after COVID, I think this is going to be the best time for the Reptile Expo to expand. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about doing one like down Windsor Way, from what I've heard, and this is all hearsay. Nobody quote me here, please. But I've heard talk of one going down Windsor Way and one going much further up north and stuff like that. And honestly, after COVID, like I think this is the best time to possibly do it because people are going to want stuff to do. They're going to want to get out. So who the hell knows, man?
I'm there. Wherever it is, I'm there. I'm going.
Okay. So we're closing in on an hour. We're going to get into some of the more serious questions. I'm gonna dump this on you, and I've only actually asked one other person. This is one of my new questions.
Sure.
What was your first big disappointment or letdown?
I think you were pretty aware of that big letdown, that big disappointment. I was in one of the Facebook groups, and
I was
got
actually going to
torn.
ask you about this separately, so this works out fantastic. Keep going. Yep.
I got shredded just because I took a wrong angle picture of a snake in a tub, and whoever was in that group started it, engaged an army to attack me, negative reviews on my Facebook page, slammed me everywhere in public. It was just an absolute horrible experience. Horrible.
And for anybody that's watching, Don, whoa, this is not going to be. He posted a baby in one of these tubs. Or no, two babies side by side in two
Side
of
by
them, right?
side, 200%
I have
head
animals in
copies.
here right now, guys. They are living in there. So they're okay. And basically an entire Facebook group, or not an entire Facebook group, but somebody very prominent in one of the Facebook groups gathered a shit ton of people to just harass the shit out of Don for this picture. Even though it's a very common size now, it's awesome to get hatchlings eating. Like, it's commonly used, but Don took the brunt of it. Like, these people just attacked, and the worst part is the person that kind of orchestrated it all, that kind of led the charge, was very closely related to somebody that's well respected in the ball python game. And I'm not going to say much more than that, but it was just, the whole thing was just so bullshit. And yeah, like you said, you were getting negative reviews on your actual business page, right?
On the business page, right? From people who have never even talked to me. It was just downright nasty.
And you saw, I was trying to jump on as many of them as I could. I was just like, hey, you know what? Fuck you. Like, fuck off. Like, Don knows what he's doing. Like, who the fuck are you? Mr. Bioactive, keep their ball python in a 128 fucking gallon tank with lights. Like,
yeah.
And then who else was there? Michael Graham. Michael Graham was there too. Like,
fantastic. Yeah,
I love Michael Graham. He's such a nice guy.
Yep.
But that was that.
There was. I had a good backing of 5-6 good breeders from around here backing me up, but it wasn't worth staying in that group.
And it just wasn't worth dealing with it. Like, it was just. I know I told you, but other people I'm sure did too. Like, at that point, you just cut your losses and say, like, fuck you guys then. Like, if this is what you want to do, I'm not even dealing with it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
there was so much support that it's not that the people didn't want to be congratulated or thanked in public, but there was a lot of behind the scenes movement where people were messaging me personally and just saying, look, you do a fantastic job. Your animals are top notch. There is nothing for you to worry about. If you ever need anything, you just pick up the phone.
The thing, and you know what? I'm very glad to hear that. And I know I was talking to you in that time, but I'm really glad to hear that there was other people that were reaching out and all that stuff, because you know what? You didn't deserve any of that crap. But at the end of the day, those people weren't people that were important to this market anyway.
Oh, absolutely
you know what I mean?
not.
Those people weren't people that are going to change whether you make a sale or not. Those people weren't ever coming to you. They're not going to buy a ball python. And if they do, it's going to be a normal from their body. You know what I mean? Like, that's what made me so angry. You weren't getting attacked by people that actually knew what they were talking about or had any idea of our kind of corner of the hobby. There were people that dealt with everything else. And that's who's coming after you. And it would drive, like, few things make my blood boil. Few things get me really angry. That is one of the very few things in the past, like, 5 years that have made me gone, like, off the deep end. And I may have sent a message to a person that has that person not talking to me anymore. And you probably know who that is, but I'm not going to say their name. But yeah, no, I couldn't believe that. And it's ridiculous. And that's, I shouldn't say it's a huge thing, but it's an important thing. Like, at the end of the day, we are on the internet and we are putting ourselves out there. So there's always going to be the risk and the possibility of somebody taking offense to something and not only just getting upset, but then attacking you, flagging you, making you look like an asshole. Like, there's so many of these types. If it was just that one person and they just told you how they felt, you could have went, okay, we disagree, but that's fine. Like, if you think I'm terrible, great. But they fucking brought an army. Like,
yep.
Come on.
Talk to me in private if you have
Absolutely.
an issue, right? Don't blast me in public. But you know what?
Don, if you start keeping fucking sub-adults in the new FP 2.5s that they haven't come out with yet, that are half the size of the FP 5s, then maybe you and I can have a conversation. But if you're keeping fucking hatchlings in the FP 5s, that sounds pretty okay to me. If they're eating, they're drinking, they're shitting, they're shedding, I think they're all right. So I still can't believe that.
You know what? I learned a very important lesson from that. Is don't try to please everybody. Have people in your community, in your group, associate with people that are like-minded. You know, it sounds a little bit like a cult or Amway or multi-level marketing, but it's true, right?
You need those close people, but not just for support and stuff like that, but just bounce ideas off of to show when you hit something cool. Like, you need those people just to. You just need to have that support circle that understands what you're dealing with and what you're achieving. Like, it's not always negative. You want them there for the positive too.
Right.
And
for sure.
Like, luckily I have Nick, so I don't have to reach out too much, but I'm sure, I don't know if you've ever been on the brunt end of it, but whenever something crazy happens to me, whenever we hit an amazing animal or something like that, I just harass people with pictures. Not because I want to know their opinion either. Like, I just send them just like, look. And they go, okay.
Right.
But I get so excited. So
if you're sending those pictures to people who don't know, they just don't get it. Right. If you have somebody in your community who's in the same hobby, they're excited for you. They're pumped up for you, and you know they know how you're feeling, and it's worth it to surround yourself with the same type of people. So all the general reptile groups that I was in, I just left them all. And you know what? I'm not missing it, and I'm dealing more with people that I want to deal with and who get the hobby, right?
Yep. And you know what? I don't know if you know this. But for a long, long time, I was a admin of, I want to say, probably one of the bigger ball python groups on Facebook. And I did not realize how soul-crushing it was, like how much love it was actually taking away from me for this hobby until I stopped doing that. Social media, as great as it can be for this hobby, if you're in the wrong spot or you're dealing with the wrong people, like, it can just suck every little bit of love that you have out of it.
Oh, I tell you, it was days that I was thinking about this, and I was getting so angry. And then I would repost a picture, and then
I remember.
And then I would take it down, and then I would repost it, and then I'm just like, no, I just got to step away. You know, I got good people around me. Just walk away and let it be.
It just, I was so heartbroken isn't the word, but disappointed. That's probably I was so disappointed that people that are in, just the reptile hobby would be that crass and that, like, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but just so.
Well, it's vulgar,
ridiculous.
But not in, it's vulgar, but not in the sense of swearing, right?
Yeah, they're basically claiming some of them were saying you were abusing your animals, and like, what the hell? Like, that's sorry. If I keep going on about it, I'm going to get angry again. Like, I'm already going red if you can't tell. But it was just all the vitriol that was spewed at you, and just it was terrible, and it was something that should have never happened. Like, if people had an issue, they should have messaged you privately. They should have said, hey, what's up with that bin? That looks kind of small. If it was somebody that's not, into ball pythons and doesn't understand, and they could have allowed you to educate them. And that could have been the end of it.
And you know what? I'll tell you the history of that picture. I've got a hatchling rack that are 5 of those FB5s wide, but I have enough for 100 of those tubs. So I was standing like this, trying to take a picture over my head. So I couldn't even see where the snakes were. So obviously they looked a lot bigger.
Yeah, because they were like over the water bowl and like,
yeah.
I remember. And if I would have been prepared, I would have asked you to send me that picture so I could have showed people just to give some reference. But like, you know what? No, screw it. I'm just going to show people now. I'm taking that water out because that's terrible. But it was no worse than this, guys. Like, and she's a little bit big. His was smaller, actually.
Oh, he's smaller.
Yeah, she's been eating quite a bit recently. I actually have to move her up. That was a terrible example. I'm the worst. But no, like smaller than that, and I still have mine the FB5. So I don't know. It just made me so angry. This is my last and favorite question. And then we can just talk about whatever, or we can ask for questions from people watching.
Sure.
But if you could remove one gene from the entire hobby, not just what you have, what would it be? And would that answer be different if it was only restricted to your collection?
That is a great question. You know what? I would almost get rid of most of the Bell complex.
Oh man, after my own heart.
Because
just
that's
say Lutzer, and I'm a happy guy. Come on.
Yeah, it's just like I love bamboo. Out of all the Bell complex, that's the one that I would really keep. Mojave's all right.
See, I would keep special.
Yeah.
I like special, but like lesser. No, just lesser and butter. Like, get rid of them. Bye.
Yeah, and that's the problem that I'm running into now. I've hit some great odds, but my pastel lesser puzzle, most of my other stuff either has lesser or butter or Mojave. So every time I do that pairing, I'm taking a risk that I'm going to hit another Bell.
And that's fair. I just want to touch on this really quick.
Sure.
With that question, I'm assuming we're not including genes that the general consensus believes should be removed. I don't think anybody thinks desert should still be around. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so that's the problem, right? And I think that's some knowledge that really needs to be passed down to new people getting into the hobby. You've got to be careful about some of those genes that you're getting into. Sure, The animal looks fantastic, but what's the future you have with that animal?
So the reason why I just like cheered you for saying the Bell complex is because my answer is butter lesser. Like just move it. Do you know how different my collection would look without butter lesser? Probably half the animals would be different. And would I feel bad because there'd be a bunch of like teenage white chicks out there that had bells that are now normals? I'd probably feel a little bad for that, but not bad enough to not do it. I would still do it.
Right.
And if it was restricted to my collection, no, I would still do it. Like, I'm not changing my answer. And I feel like I should probably ask that question the other way. I feel like I should ask it for your collection and then ask if it would change if it was for everybody. But
I think my answer is the same both ways. Like I got a pastel lesser puzzle and I paired it to a butter pewter. So I know I was taking a risk at getting bells. And I didn't. I got lucky on that clutch. But I did have a pastel lesser HRA Hypo female that I was going for the double hets, and I hit 2 bells. So, right. So what do you do with them?
And that, you know what? I got to a point too. Like we had our pastel lesser leopard clown, right? Male. And because a bunch of our males last year decided all to just be assholes, that male basically got everything. Like we had a few clutches that weren't him, but he was basically our go-to. Like I had to just keep throwing him to everything because either things would immediately go off food or this or that or whatever else. So we ended up with a ton of animals from that male. And of course, 95% of it is lesser. Mm-hmm. I have pastel lesser leopard yellow belly het clown female right here. Lesser leopard double het hypo clown down there. I have pastel lesser leopard het clown here. Pastel lesser leopard het clown here. Like there's so many of them. And it just sucks because it limits what I can do with them later. If I decide to get into bamboo and want bamboo clowns, if I go buy a cool bamboo combo clown male, I can't breed them back to them.
Right.
If I go buy a cool special clown male, I can't breed them back to them. Like, it just sucks.
Yeah. Like, for me, I really like the look of a bamboo puzzle. But because my puzzle has lesser, I'm running the chance, right? I got 7 good eggs. We'll know in 50 days.
So that's the clutch you just got. The 50 days just clicked. That's fantastic though. Like you're gonna have some cool stuff this year.
We're hoping.
So here's one question I should add to the drop down questions, but I have to physically type them in. I don't want to do it right now. What do you have in your incubator right now that you're willing to share?
That I have just that. It's an Orange Dream bamboo 50% het G-stripe with a pastel lesser puzzle.
Nice. So would you hold any of those females back and then try to prove the one pos het G-stripe out after? Or would you just completely forget about the pos het G-stripe at that point?
I'm not a G-stripe fan.
Me neither. G-stripe would have been my answer, but I don't have enough of it for it to matter. So.
Yeah. So, I was looking for the bamboo. Orange Dream's a bonus. G-stripe, meh.
We actually just picked up a pastel Hypo G-stripe. She was 1,100 grams when we got her. And it was only because a friend is going through some health stuff right now, and they need to move basically everything because they can't be around snakes right now. So this person came to me and they're like, hey, I'm selling this, and this. Would you be interested? And I was like, well, not really. And he's like, well, what about this? And he sent me the pastel Hypo G-stripe. I was like, well, man, you know what? Like, it's a cool animal, but I don't like G-stripe. I'm good. He's like, well, because I know you and I'm not advertising this list to everybody, what if I give it to you for like what I bought it for as a baby? And I was like, okay, like you have my attention. How much do you want? And the guy goes, I probably shouldn't advertise the price, but it was less than any double recessive female should ever be listed at. And I went, oh, my poor heart and my poor wallet. But we picked it up, and you know what? I don't hate it. I don't love it, and I'm not going to become a G-stripe guy.
Right. It's not something that I would chase. It's just like HRA. It's in my collection. It does some cool things, but
hold on. I love Het Red, dude. No. I totally get it. Het Red is what it is. Like that's how most people see it too, right?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, to have a double recessive female, even just to make some double hets to sell off, like G-stripe, as much as I don't want to like it, and as much as you don't like it, G-stripe is coming back just like DG is. Like, not as strong, maybe not yet, but there's a lot of people working with like the G-stripe clown stuff, and I've even seen G-stripe DG stuff, and it's like, I mean, it's not for me, but there's people out there that love it.
Right, and that's the beauty of the hobby, right?
So if I can throw a clown to that pastel double visual and make some triple hets or whatever I end up making, combo triple hets, like there's going to be people that are looking for those, right? So she's going to have a place in the collection. I just don't know if we'll ever work on Hypo G-stripe as a project. I doubt it.
Yeah, and you know what? To answer that question too, there's a lot of people that bash on pastel, but that girl that I have, there's no comparison.
I wish I had my pastel DG 50% het puzzle that we hatched here, but it's at Billy's. That animal might be the nicest. I am sorry, I am shaking my camera. That animal might be the nicest pastel I've ever seen in my life. It is nuts. And it literally reinvigorated my love for like pastel. I'm not a huge fan of it in clown. But then as soon as you add another recessive to clown, it makes my love for it come back. So pastel DG clown, pastel hypo clown, like your girl.
Yeah.
Pastels, anything clown, like if you add another recessive, like pastel clown pies, they look amazing. So
I've pastel hypo pied. The yellow is so bright. I don't understand how people can bash on that stuff.
And I get it. The thing is, you know what? Will actually said it best, and I don't remember where I saw him say this, but people often complain about pastel ruining certain combos.
Mm-hmm.
And Will said, well, maybe it's not pastel's fault for ruining the combo. Maybe it's your fault for putting pastel in a combo it shouldn't have been in. And I went,
right.
Holy shit.
I'm telling you, that guy, for all the stuff that he has and all the experience he has, you can talk to him for 5 minutes and your whole perspective changes.
Honestly, Will, like, I haven't had Will on here by himself yet. He's been on one episode with June and Khalil.
Mm-hmm.
We did like a 4-way thing. And he's going to come on after he's done all of his construction that he's dealing with right now.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. But no, I completely agree. That guy has more knowledge than he even lets on. You know what I mean? Like, you know the guy's smart. You know he knows his stuff. But then you start talking to him and you're like, what the hell? Like, he says things that you've never even considered. And it's like the pastel thing. Like, he's 100% right. It's not pastel's fault that a bunch of shitty breeders put it into a bunch of other shitty animals. Like, pastel works great in certain combos. You can't blame the gene for that.
Yep, you're right. Absolutely right.
That's a question for you for Pete Snakes, our buddy Pete. What would you like to see more of in the hobby?
I don't work with a lot. I mean, I have very limited space, so it's always kind of like I'll work with something for a little while, like the geckos, and then move along. I don't think there's enough Chihuahuas around. Like the Pine Island Chewies are just an amazing animal. But unfortunately, I've let my last pair go simply for space.
And I get that. Like I've not let anything go for space, but I've purposely not taking it on due to space. That makes sense, right? Like,
right.
I want to get into green tree pythons. They're my favorite species of any animal ever. Favorite, right? But the temperature fluctuations that we have in this apartment are too much for a green tree. Like,
right.
I can mitigate this one room enough that the balls are okay, but it's still pretty up and down. I had a green tree here for a while. I did buy one, and it didn't do well. Like, it wasn't doing well. And I said, okay, you know what I have right now is not appropriate for keeping one of these, as much as I would love to, and just pretend and tinker and foil with whatever enclosure I'm keeping it in. It's not fair.
Yep. And it's not fair to the animal, right?
That's what I mean. It's just not fair to the snake. As much as I would love to have that animal as a display animal, I can't do it. So I found her a new home, and once I have a more appropriate setup, maybe one day Nick and I actually get a facility that's temperature controlled. I would love to have a couple just as display pieces.
Right. You don't want to call them show pieces, but I mean, that's kind of what they are, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, they would be for me because I love them, but
Right.
they would be to show off too because they're amazing, beautiful creatures. And I would love to see more people get into these kind of display animals that aren't necessarily for handling.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even the emerald tree boas. I would love to have an emerald tree one day. Probably never going to hold it, but I would love to have one. Like, oh, here's another question from our buddy Tyler.
I am drinking some Bushmills Irish whiskey, some 10-year-old stuff today.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm just drinking some seltzers because I'm a cheap ass.
Good stuff.
All right, we're closing in on an hour 15, guys. So if anybody has any other questions for Don, let's drop them in the chat. We'll keep this going as long as you guys have questions for Don. Super stoked that this is actually, worked and stayed active. We haven't had any issues. Great change from last week.
So you had put out something on Instagram, maybe last week, maybe the week before, about future guests. And I watched Rodney from Black Sun Reptiles on Billy's podcast. I think he's amazing.
I've never talked to him before. So
just his personality, his positivity. It's just, you listen to him and you just feel good.
I'll reach out to him as soon as we're done here. Honestly, I've never talked to the guy before. I wasn't part of Billy's episode, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody's aware, but Billy's actually moved his whole podcast thing to his facility. So once COVID opens up, I probably won't be part of it anymore moving forward, just because I could barely make it to his place when it was his place, and that's 30 minutes closer. So that kind of sucks, but I'll definitely reach out to him. You said his name is Rodney?
Rodney, yep.
So I have Gavin, we rescheduled for not next Friday, but the Friday after. Next Friday, I'm actually going away for the weekend, starting on Friday. I don't know if you know what's going on in my personal life, but I just need to get the fuck away. I think I told you.
No.
Oh, I'll tell you after we're done. It's not something I want to advertise on YouTube quite yet.
Yeah.
But great question from Nicole.
Oh, allelic.
This is a hard question because
it is.
It opens up certain things, but then limits others. So it makes you really, really think. Pastel and lesser, so people would stop putting them together.
Yeah, you know what? Allelic combo really messed me up was cinnamon and inchy.
Because nobody expected it. It's been 30 years. It's just like
I
agree.
It's just I didn't know what to think after that. It's just because I have a banana cinnamon inchy here, and it looks amazing. But to think that was allelic, it was just just didn't make sense almost.
It's really funny too, because I remember when I first got back into the hobby, when I first started working for Billy, he had a Enchi Cinnamon 66% Casper Ghost, right?
Mm-hmm. And
he would never sell it to me. I always wanted it, not because I cared about the Posset Ghost, but because this animal was so amazing. And I was asking him, I just say, hey, Billy, what's making this animal so orange? Enchi is an orange. Cinnamon is an orange. What's doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
I think I remember that animal too.
Probably. It was beautiful, man. It was the nicest Cine Enchi I've ever seen. And he wouldn't sell it to me. And then he sold the whole project. And he sold that animal. But I remember, I can't remember if it was to Austin or somebody else. And I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if that was because it was allelic? And it was a joke. I didn't mean anything by it. And then 3 years later, it's like, oh, it's allelic. Now it makes sense. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't, so much still to learn. Realistically, 4 years or 5 years, however long I've been, I'm not even scraping the surface at this point. And there's so much new stuff coming out constantly. it's almost to the point where you just can't keep up.
You can't. I have people asking me every week, like, "Oh, what do you think of this gene?" I'll be like, "What the fuck is that? I've never even heard of it before." Like, well, I thought I just wanted to ask if you think it would be a good investment. I'd be like, if I saw a picture of it once, I could tell you. I guess I don't know. I've never even heard of it before. I'm like, then there's all the UK versions of the same genes that we have, and like, oh, there's so much to know still. It's so crazy.
Like that frost gene that Gavin has is pretty cool. It's almost like Hypo, but not really.
And there's another thing I'm planning on. I was going to bring up the frost when I talked to him. There's actually another thing I wanted to talk to him about, and Billy's the one that brought it to my attention. But I've had animals this year, not all of them, but some of them, ovulate insanely early. Like I'll ultrasound them at 31 mil, and they'll be ovulating later that week.
My last clutch was 12 days early from shed.
Exactly. That's what I mean. My pie, she dropped 12 eggs and she was 8 days early. Like, so apparently he's been looking into like some females don't have one solid ovulation. They have like a few like mini ovulations over the course of a period of time. Like, I don't know anything about it. I want to talk to him about it, but it just sounds so interesting. I think there's just so much that we still have to learn about this hobby. Like, no one person will ever know everything there is to know, ever. Like, it just won't happen. I don't know, man. I'm really excited because I saw you were going to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off, but one sec. I had 2 girls do that, the 31 mil and then ovulated the same week. I had 2 girls do that and they did it in the same week. They laid about 3 days apart. But they were both at 31, 32 mil, and they were both ovulating later that week. And I posted about it, and I talked about it on Billy's podcast, and I had a bunch of people come to me and be like, "Oh, well, when they ovulate early, that means they're going to slug out. Just be prepared. Just be prepared. They're going to slug out. Just so you know, don't be excited. Not a single slug between the two." Not only that, but the Black Pastel Mojave Het Lab Posset Pied, I was positive she was going to slug out because of how she looked. Still give me 5 perfect eggs. So I don't know, man. There's just so much to learn.
I think we don't know what we don't know.
I don't know.
Right?
It's such a crazy hobby, and like,
I think Billy's onto something with his Husbandry Pro, where he can start analyzing data, and I think that's the only way to start getting some realistic answers without putting in a whole lot of extra work.
It was actually really funny because Husbandry Pro was never supposed to be like a breeding tracking thing. It was always supposed to be kind of like just husbandry related, right. Cleaning, feeding, all that kind of stuff. And I was over at his place. I want to say it was January 2nd. I think it was before he even announced Husbandry Pro, or maybe just after. And I said, have you guys noticed that when your girls hit like 15 to 20 mil, they usually go through their like a pre-ov shed or like pre-ov shed. They go through a shed in that time span. They're like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? We've never noticed that. And I was like, oh, well, I've been tracking, like, if you look, I track all my sizes for follicles and stuff like this, where they're at, like date, size of follicles, sheds, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I've noticed that my girls between 15 and 20 mil up to like 24 mil will go through a shed. And they were like, no, that doesn't happen. It's earlier than that, if they even have one. And I was like, okay, I'm just showing you what I've been noticing because I'm ultrasounding my girls every 2 weeks because my ultrasound's new and it's a toy. I want to play with it. Right? So yeah, all of a sudden Billy starts tracking his stuff and he goes, holy shit. He's like, half this stuff I never even realized. He's like, I've been breeding for 10 years and I've never actually wrote this stuff down. Now we have a graph in Husbandry Pro. Like it's awesome. I'm so happy with how that program is progressing and just expanding. Like, oh, It's so cool.
Are you using it?
I'm lazy, but yes.
Are you? See,
um,
I am probably the most unscientific breeder there is. I purely just watch my animals. I'll palpate every once in a while, but I'm not taking notes. I'm not entering weights. I'm not entering because I'm trying to keep this fun for me. And when it
yes.
becomes a chore of collecting data all the time, it becomes more fun because that's not the type of person I am.
Yep. And you know what? I mean, for the most part, I take pride in the fact that all my information is right here. What's eating, what's not eating, what's building. You know what I mean? Like it's all here. I have, or at least had, small cues with my tags. Like building, I'd put them on one side. Done breeding, I'd put them on the other side. But it drove my OCD crazy, so I just started writing on the bins.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the most part, I know everything. I know one of my animals has been off food for 4 months. You know what I mean? Like, so Husbandry Pro, it's amazing. It's a phenomenal app, and it for the most part has everything you could possibly need right now. But at the same time, it kind of oversteps that bounds for me where I'm like, man, but this was my thing. Like this, I like that I could do this without you. So I got it. I have it. And my animals are all in Husbandry Pro. I am just no good at updating Husbandry Pro.
Right. And I think I would be the same way. I think I would put the time in. I would get them all in there. But after a few weeks, it would start to become a chore for me.
Yeah. And you know what? I did the majority of my collection while I had some downtime at work. And I was basically just sitting there to answer phones. Mm-hmm. So it didn't feel so bad then, but based on what I was doing then, I could see having to do any part of that every week over and over again. I could see that becoming a chore. Like just,
and you know what?
To the people that use it, I'm jealous. Like I wish I could.
Like I went to the facility and took a look at it. He gave me a walk through A to Z. It is absolutely fantastic how it works, and all the information it gathers. It's just not for me. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are going to use that and who are going to need it, right, to get going.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so ignore the second half of this question. Who's your favorite new breeder that you've seen out there this year?
God, there's so many.
I know it's so hard.
You just can't keep up. It's just like Instagram's been an invaluable tool to reach out and meet people, and Facebook too. And you know what? I get messages all the time. They're like, "Oh, I've seen you here. I saw this," and then you get to talk to them, and it's that bond that you have just because you've got the same interests. It's just crazy. So there's a lot of people that come in big and strong, but they fizzle out. I think, you got to work this hobby to do well.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think I could give you an answer either. Just because there's so many people, especially the new people. I feel like the new people are almost putting in more work than the established guys now. Like it's crazy how much work these guys put into what they're doing. It's awesome. I'm so happy to see it. But like, my buddy Max at Interstellar, like he's put his name out there. I don't believe he's even had a clutch yet, but so many people know who he is. When he finally has babies, or when he finally has eggs on the ground and then babies, like he's not going to have an issue selling those because he's spent the time to put himself out there and establish his brand, right? So it's so hard to say one name of like, oh, this is the person I like the most because everybody's just doing so well, even if they've never made one.
But you know what?
Yes, Mark, you're okay. Shut the fuck up.
You know what, though? Like when people are talking to me, they're like, how do I do this? How do I do this? How should I do this? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, the very first thing you do is create your social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a clutch. You have, so what? You have one pair of snakes. You have 3 females and a male. Just keep posting them endlessly. Just make yourself known.
Not only that, but one thing that I've found really works, especially for myself, is find like a brand style of picture. Mine's always in my hand, tattoo showing in front of my rack. It makes people recognize your post when they're just casually scrolling through. I'll tell you well, it's not even a story, but my first Instagram post on the Reptile Ward, my first post ever, was a baby crested gecko on a book. It was the stupidest, worst picture I could have possibly posted. That if you go to my profile now and scroll all the way to the bottom, it's still there. But everybody has to start somewhere. So just go. Just do it. Just start. It doesn't matter if your first couple or first 10 or first 100 pictures look stupid. Just do it.
Yeah. So like they've said, well, I don't want to do it too soon. I want to grow up my animals. I don't want I don't want to put it out there before I have some babies for sale. I'm like, you're just making it harder for yourself because people don't know who the hell you are.
Sorry, I was taking a picture. But 100%, like our first clutch, I had to sell basically on Kijiji because nobody even knew my name.
Right.
And excuse me, it's just it's tough to get in right now if nobody knows who you are. If like with the amount of people that are now establishing themselves, even the people that aren't breeding yet, the names that are out there, it is very hard for you to be a nobody, even on like a Kijiji for us up in here in Canada or on a Craigslist. Like if you see somebody selling something, or at least myself, I look through the ad to see who they are, to see if they like it says, oh, hey, go look at my Instagram. Oh, hey, I'm this person. I'm this, you know what I mean? That's the first thing I look for. If it doesn't have that, I'm not buying from you. Like if you can't prove to me that you take care of your animals properly, and I'm not even going to consider it. And I mean, mostly I don't buy off Kijiji anyway, but that's a big thing that I look for. And a lot of other people are the same way. So this is a good question. I think it's a good one to end on because we actually hit an hour 30 very quickly.
I like
ball python.
I like what Justin was doing with the Confusion project. The leopard confusion, I like that. I like that a lot.
I have a pastel leopard yellow belly confusion, 50% hepide.
Nice.
Yeah. Dream ball python. That's tough. Enchi. Enchi confusion. Clown pied. Yeah, that's mine.
I don't know, some of that that lavender stuff that Justin's doing with confusion.
Oh, the leopard,
the blackhead,
blackhead stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I saw that shit. Get this done, and we'll wrap up in a second. But I saw that shit, and I have a blackhead mystic, a gene het lavender female that I've been putting to our yellow belly pied het lav, and then he starts posting that shit, and I was just like, I didn't even know what I was doing. So I got very excited. But I'd probably say Enchi confusion, clown pied, or I want to see a visual version of the stranger male we have. So pastel leopard stranger yellow belly clown. I think that would look unreal. Just based on, have you seen the yellow belly stranger clown?
No, I don't think so.
I would look it up right now and show you, but I'll send it to you after.
Yeah, sure.
Just stranger yellow belly clown looks so different from a stranger clown. Like, I love it.
I think there's still a lot of yellow belly secrets out there still.
Agreed. Anyway, Don, we've run an hour and a half. I need to eat something. We've had no issues, which has been amazing. So
awesome.
Thank you so much. I can archive our attempts from last week. We can use this as our actual show.
Yeah, please get rid of those.
I'm so happy. Oh, we have one more question because Nicole comes in under the wire. Hold on, guys. Nobody leave.
All right.
What is your most anticipated animal you'd like to hatch and hold back this season? Do you have an immediate answer?
I don't.
Pastel. No, not pastel. Pinstripe, leopard, stranger clown. Please.
This is going to be my first season with a chance of hitting visual puzzles. I would eventually like to get that into some black pastel in there, and maybe some OD black pastel puzzles.
OD black pastel puzzle, I think, would look sick.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. All right. Well, I'm not taking another question. I'm only doing that one because it was a good one, Nicole. Don, thank you so much. This was so much fun. We'll definitely have to have you on. I'm planning to have like an all-Canadian show soon where we have a bunch of people. I've already talked to Nicole about it, even though it was for a date before that didn't happen. So we'll have to bring you back. This has been great. People loved it. So thank you so much,
awesome.
man. This has been fantastic. I had so much fun. I'm just going to drop you off, talk for a couple more seconds, and then we'll be off the air, man. Thank you again.
Night, everybody.
And do you want to plug your anything quick?
Nah, I'm all over the place. Pear Tree Pythons on Instagram.
He's the only one.
That's right.
Anyway, Don, thank you so much.
All right. Night.
See ya. All right, guys. Amazing episode. So much fun. If for some reason you haven't yet, go enter our 10K giveaway. We are at 9,500 people, essentially. Not quite, but we'll be there by the end of the day. So go enter. And if you've entered, enter it again. Like, why not? You can enter as many times as you want. And if you're worried about accidentally re-tagging people you've already tagged, it won't count anyway. So just try more. Just try harder. That's it. No episode next week, but there might be a proper YouTube video coming out next week. And then the week after that, I believe, is the week that we have Gavin from Balls to You on that we've rescheduled. So you know what? Lots of fun stuff. You will see an advertisement for the YouTube video for next weekend if it's going to happen. But yeah, guys, if anybody has any suggestions for future guests, please DM me on Instagram. We are looking to book. This has been tons of fun. I want to keep doing them. So, guys, rock. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your Friday night. Go get drunk or something. See ya.